Clare McCann, and I am the writer, actress and director of Benefited. The biggest challenge that we faced in the making of Benefited was working on zero budget. We literally had a budget for catering, making sure everyone was well fed, and that was it. We just made sure that we had a great team of people that were really passionate about it, like we all were, and we just found whatever gear we could. We rolled with the punches. Those punches included losing footage. I feel sorry for any filmmaker who's lost footage. I laugh now, I was crying at the time. What inspired me to write Benefited was really a multitude of things. It was a long time coming. I'd started making theatre when I was about 6, and I was the singer, dancer, actress who started writing and directing just to tell stories. I like to tell stories that, brought about some kind of emotive response. I just felt they made communities and really the world a better place. So I toured around Australia and Asia and just making shows as I grew, and eventually found myself in a cushy position, creative directing at the casino. It was really great. I mean, I got to work with some amazing people, but what was missing from my art was telling stories that were things that I really cared about. And I really care a lot about socialist and feminist issues. And that's what I wanted to do. So, when I started making commercials and things at the casino, I knew I could, put my powers to good use, and went back to uni and studied everything. And then my teacher just said, look, you start off by just writing what you know. And, I had my own experiences with abuse. I'd grown up in an area surrounded by government housing, and there were so many stories that just were never heard, were never told. And there was so much societal stigma about people from lower socioeconomic groups in Australia. And I really wanted to be a voice for those who had none. I'd also been working as an actress for Centrelink, actually. They would call me in and they would give me a script, and I would work off this script. And it was for a scenario where if someone came into the situation that was maybe a bit highly strung or emotional, how they dealt with and got rid of that person. We were training people so that, there's a guy who looks over the desk and notices the drama that's going on and gets rid of the one person, and they have what's called a good Samaritan, how they deal with that person. And I just sort of thought, like, couldn't you have just offered this guy counselling? Like, isn't there a room somewhere that you could take him? Like, he's on the verge of homelessness. In my mind, I thought, well, hold on, there are all sorts of people coming in here with all sorts of problems, and if this is just the way you deal with all of them, it's not going to help, and it's probably going to make things worse. And yeah, I just sort of thought, okay, rather than, causing a big argument here, I'll make a film. The reason why in Benefited there are so many interweaving stories is because that was really what I saw and what I experienced. Growing up in my local community, there were so many stories that were just so powerful independently, but they did interweave back and forth. It was just that energy and that continuance of the problem and how it spirals out for children, for the victims, for the perpetrators, for the government workers, for everyone that's in the community. And yeah, I actually had someone say to me, who was looking at the script, and they said, oh, $500 a week, but why don't you just lie and say in the script that it's like $350 a week that they get, because $500 a week is actually really good. And I said, well, I'm not going to lie, like, the film is definitely going to be a reflection of what our community is, and actually $500 a week to raise a child alone isn't enough. I'd done a lot more research into what the safe housing support systems available were in government housing and the way that they dealt with victims of abuse, and I just thought it's not good enough. And I really wanted to start a conversation in Australia. I wanted to generate enough awareness in the hopes that it would lead to societal change. I hope what audiences take away from watching Benefited, whether they're people who have experienced violence or know someone who've experienced it, or perhaps think they might know someone who's experienced it, how important it is to leave those situations, how there can be no second chances. It doesn't work, good for anyone who's involved, and really just how private some people can be about it, how maybe non-vocal about what's going on, and just to tread a little bit more sensitively. Another big thing, which is very now, is, there's been so much over this last year during the pandemic of people saying, that are now having to survive on Centrelink, saying $500 a week isn't enough. And people are now getting about $750 a week. However, single parents are still getting $500 a week. People on disability payments are less, $400 a week, and they're expected to live off that. So, I would love there to be some more conversation about this and, what people who have to be on Centrelink actually receive. We look at wanting to support victims coming out of abuse, and the sort of depreciating mindset that a victim endures, teamed with poverty, it really makes it a very slim chance and a long possible chance for them to ever overcome. But for someone to truly overcome that sort of abuse, they need to be fully supported. And that goes for the children as well. These victims are now the sole carer for these children. And if we want our community to, continue to make great people, we really got to offer people like this more support. The one piece of advice, which I think is the most important thing that I would give to any aspiring creator, is go to school, go to college, be great at English, be great at math. You're going to need everything. Know your history, know your industry, watch films, and get your degree. So if there was anything else that I'd like to add, just that, look, obviously it would be amazing for Benefited to win an award, but on behalf of all the amazing cast and the amazing crew who took part in this very special project, I would just ask you, please I would just ask you, please vote Benefited and help us to raise awareness to domestic violence and abuse. So much of the cast and crew just worked tirelessly on this, and they did it for nothing. They didn't do it to make money. They did it because we thought this story really needed to be heard, and we still really do. So, your vote would mean generating more awareness for what is just one of the biggest problems that we have right now.